It's the year 2025 and things have never been more over for Red Dead Online. From a lack of major updates to Rockstar straight up removing features from the game just to piss off veterans, it would appear as though the world's only online multiplayer cowboy action game is now well past its expiration date, which means nobody should be playing it anymore, right? Actually, you'd be wrong. Dead wrong. Not only are people still playing Red Dead in 2025, but it set a new peak daily player record on Steam in January with 86,405 players in game at one time. And then just 1 week later, it broke its own record by hitting nearly 100,000 players in game. And if you think this is just a PC thing because of the 75% discount that we recently had, I'd like to remind you that Red Dead Redemption 2 also topped the charts for the most downloaded PlayStation 4 game in January across the North American region. All of this is very impressive for a game that Rockstar officially abandoned 2 years ago, so they could focus on GTA 6 and GTA Online instead. However, is Red Dead Online still worth playing in 2025 if you're a fan of the series? How easy is it to find a match? And can you still enjoy the PvP and PvE content in this game? I'll try to answer all of those questions inside of this video. But first, let's put those massive player count spikes on Steam into perspective, because the big caveat to all this is that we're talking about RDR2 as a whole, and not just Red Dead Online. It may surprise you, but even to this day, we have people jumping into the story side of things for the very first time and losing themselves in an immaculately crafted Wild West experience that transports you to a different time and place. However, this also means that some of those story players bleed over into the online mode because after finishing the Vanderland saga, they want to experience even more RDR2, complete with a new set of characters and exciting new jobs and content. So it's fair to assume that even though Red Dead Online has lost a lot of players over the last 6 years due to general fatigue in the player base and lack of updates from Rockstar, it also has gained a good chunk of newcomers during the holiday season. These people haven't unlocked all the roles, nor have they participated in the various free roam events that make this game so interesting for first timers. They're still busy trying to figure out how to make money and what to do, what to buy, and since it's their first time in the game, and Red Dead Online's gameplay loop, while similar, it's still very different than that of RDR2's single player story. And I know a lot of you haven't logged into Red Dead Online for a while, but in my own experience, it also seems like there are far more new players right now in every single lobby than ever before. Most of them are under level 50, riding around on their Wild Bay Mustang, armed with an Evans repeater, taking pot shots at NPCs and getting into fights with the few veterans that still populate the servers. There's also the occasional modder or a guy with a barcode for a name, but these are still rare occurrences. In fact, you rarely run into anyone outside of the main hubs like Valentine, Saint Denis, or Rhodes, because most of these lobbies have under 15 players these days, and what few players there are will also mostly be low levels who don't know where to go or what to do. Now, the upside to this shift in the player count and general experience level is that you're rarely griefed while doing trader missions or moonshine deliveries now. No more people running around with explosive arrows, blowing up your wagon, or lassoing you while you're just minding your business. And the downside to having fewer players is, well, fewer players. Think about that for a minute. The map of RDR2 is absolutely massive. It's slightly bigger than the map of GTA 5, and yet you don't have any fast cars or aircraft to carry you around the place. Instead, you're stuck with your horse, a very slow means of transportation in comparison, especially when you compare it to V12 supercars and jet-powered bikes. On top of this, there are fewer points of interest, things like businesses, side activities, and properties. When you take all of these factors into account, it's clear that Red Dead Online can feel very empty unless you have at least 20 to 25 people in the lobby. PvP modes are a different thing because you have people queuing up for a specific type of content, but on the free roam side of things, you can wander for miles without coming across another human being. And as much as I enjoy the atmosphere and art direction of Red Dead Online, current lobbies where Rockstar populates just 12 to 15 players, that can make it start to feel a little bit lonely and uneventful if you're a solo player who's new to the game and doesn't have any roles unlocked. Now, one of the things that might interest you as a newcomer is the PvP, because even though the gunplay mechanics in RDR2 are quite basic compared to most shooters, they do feel very impactful, and yet there's a huge amount of weapon variety to keep things interesting. Plus, you have the added complexity from ability cards and tonics that make it possible for several unique playstyles to be viable at the same time, depending on the loadout you choose. So with that in mind, how's the PvP in 2025? First, let's break down the different PvP modes. You have the Featured series crafted by Rockstar, which rewards players with double cash and RP lasting for 1 month at a time. This is one of the playlists where you're still most likely able to find a match in a reasonable amount of time, and I'm still able to find matches within a couple minutes in the featured series, provided I'm queuing at a normal time and not say like 2 a.m. in my local time zone or something like that. Next up, we have the various role-specific events, which require you to have unlocked a role first. And for example, if you have the Bounty Hunter role, you can participate in the Day of Reckoning event, where you compete with other players to see who can capture the most amount of bounty targets. Or you can also play Manhunt, which is more of a co-op experience where you try and capture your targets alive for the maximum reward. Sometimes Rockstar will also hand out bonuses on these activities, like they're doing for the month of February, where you're getting 3 times the amount of money and XP for Day of Reckoning and Manhunt events, for example. And depending on which PvP mode has extra cash and XP tied to it for that month, you're going to find a decent amount of players in that queue. However, the same cannot be said for other PvP modes like the Showdown series or horse races. With anything outside of the featured series playlist, you'll have to try your luck, and you may or may not find a match within a reasonable amount of time, since most players will typically gravitate towards the playlist that offers the most rewards for their character and progression. Now, PvP shenanigans aside, what you'll likely be playing most as a new player to the game is PvE content in the free roam through roles, which can be unlocked by spending your gold bars. And don't worry too much about earning gold bars, because there are plenty of ways to grind gold in the game, and I've also got a dedicated guide video on how to make lots of gold as a beginner player, so you can check that out after this video. For new players, I highly recommend both the Bounty Hunter and Collector roles. Bounty Hunter for the action, Collector for the money grind. If you want to make lots of passive income, Moonshiner's a good option. If you like hunting and collecting animal pelts, Trader's perfect for that. And then finally, we've got the Naturalist, which is generally considered the least desirable of the lot, but it does have some pretty awesome perks. The main advantage of this role is that you can use it in conjunction with your Trader role to make lots of cash, since the Naturalist helps you snag easy legendary animal carcasses and pelts. Unfortunately, for returning players, Rockstar hasn't really added any new PvE content to the game since the Blood Money update in July of 2021, but you still have a ton of stuff to go through before you get bored. Between various roles, daily challenges, Blood Money missions, Telegram missions, and Call to Arms maps, you'll find plenty of stuff to keep you entertained for at least the next 6 months. Now, it is worth noting that Telegram missions and Call to Arms are the only 2 types of content that have received continuous updates from Rockstar after their big announcement in summer of 2022. If you aren't aware, back in July of that year, Rockstar released a blog post and community update in which they confirmed that Red Dead Online would stop receiving major content updates because the team is moving resources away from Red Dead to focus on the GTA series, namely GTA Online, and of course, developing GTA 6. However, there must be some sort of skeleton crew in the Rockstar office working overtime to pump out the yearly Telegram update, because we got 3 more new missions in fall of 2024, as well as the year before that in August, and then even in 2022, after announcing that they would stop releasing major updates for Red Dead Online, Rockstar put out another 3 hardcore Telegram missions: In Bad Faith, Strong Medicine, and Sow and Reap. And so, if you don't know what Telegram missions are, these are basically stranger missions for solo players that you can access by reading a telegram from the Documents tab in your satchel. Some are escort missions, while others require you to steal stuff, and the quality of these Telegram missions has been declining with newer updates, and while it is hard to say how many we're going to get this year in 2025, there's a good chance that we'll still get new missions, so be on the lookout for those later this year. Next, we've got Call to Arms, and these are PvE area of defense scenarios in which you go up by yourself or up to 3 other players, and you're all tasked with defending a town from hordes of enemies. These guys come in waves, 10 waves in total, and they keep getting stronger with each new round. Just last year, in December, Rockstar snuck in a new Merry Call to Arms map called The Market, which was set in Saint Denis, and it was a nice little extra for the holiday season that they didn't announce ahead of time. It was just a complete surprise. We also got new Call to Arms variations and maps during Halloween, which is also a nice gesture from Rockstar towards all those Red Dead Online players who've been playing this game since the beginning. It shows that they haven't completely forgotten about us, even though the game is officially abandoned and on life support at this point. And apart from the new Call to Arms maps and Telegram missions, we also get the occasional return of some old Outlaw Pass items through yearly updates. Outlaw Passes used to be Rockstar's very own version of a battle pass, and there were 5 of these before they discontinued the whole thing. But yeah, other than these occasional drip feed items and monthly discounts and cash bonuses on certain content types, it really isn't much to look forward to in Red Dead Online as an active player. Not until we get a new Call to Arms map or Telegram mission, of course. It's unlikely that Rockstar will add more new missions to the Land of Opportunity storyline, and we probably aren't getting any new roles either, so we're stuck with the 5 specialist roles that we have currently. And wrapping things up, is Red Dead Online still worth playing in 2025? I'd say it absolutely depends entirely on what kind of player you are. Are you a returning veteran who has been grinding these past 6 years for every single role and they've seen everything the game has to offer? In that case, Probably no, because if you already stopped playing, you got bored of it and nothing's changed, so you'll probably be bored when you log back in, because again, other than occasional limited time clothing or a discount, there isn't much to look forward to. But if you're a new player and you've never played the online mode before, I'd say there's no better time to get into Red Dead Online, simply because there are far fewer griefers and cheaters, the lobbies are pretty chill, although, yes, a little underpopulated, and you can still find plenty of people to play a match with in PvP if you play the featured series. And like I mentioned earlier, there's more than enough PvE content between all the specialist roles, telegram missions, and call to arms maps for you to have a great time for at least 6 months. Again, if you're coming in as a new player, you have everything available that the game has to offer in its entirety of its history, versus you joining in day 1 of the game and waiting for all these updates. It can feel a bit sluggish to get started at the beginning of the game, but once you earn some money and unlock the best weapons, pamphlets, horses, etc., Red Dead Online is such an enjoyable experience. And it still looks like $1 million after all these years. Red Dead Redemption 2 is still the generation-defining game, which is kind of crazy to consider. So if you do start playing this year, it doesn't feel like you're playing an old game. It feels brand new. But that's just my opinion here. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Do you think Red Dead Online is still worth playing in 2025? And if you're a new player, I hope my video encourages you to give the online mode a chance. Again, don't forget to check out my channel because I have so many Red Dead Online and RDR2 guides that you'd like to check out. I stream it live over on twitch.tv/hazardoushtv. And don't forget to drop a like if you found this video informative or enjoyable. And subscribe to the channel if you guys are new and you want to see more content just like this. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, adios amigos.